Loneliness is a great teacher, but few have the courage to enter its classroom. Osho, the art of being alone, is not merely a skill, but a primordial necessity for the awakening of consciousness. The power of solitude and the perception of the self is the key to unlocking the deepest mysteries of human existence. Since time immemorial, great sages and philosophers have understood the intrinsic value of solitude. Socrates taught us to examine unlived lives, something impossible without moments of deep introspection. Buddha achieved enlightenment in isolation under the Bodhi tree. And Jung revealed to us that encountering oneself is one of the most challenging experiences, but also the most transformative. Modern society, with its incessant noise and superficial connections, takes us away from this fundamental truth. But reality is relentless. It is in the silence of solitude that we find our most authentic inner voice. Reflect. How many times have you run away from your own self, seeking distraction in the external world? The escape from loneliness is the escape from oneself. It is in the stillness that the masks fall and the true self emerges. Loneliness is not absence, but presence. Presence of oneself for oneself. It is a sacred space where internal dialogue flourishes, where the layers of the ego are unveiled one by one, revealing the pure essence of being. At this time, it is crucial that we deepen our understanding of the nature of loneliness and its fundamental role in the journey of self-knowledge. Loneliness, at its essence, is not just a physical state of being alone, but a mental and emotional state of deep connection with oneself. It is an inner space where the noise of the external world dissipates, allowing the voice of our true nature to resonate clearly. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre once declared, "If you are lonely when you are alone, you are in bad company." This statement invites us to reflect on the quality of the relationship we maintain with ourselves. Often, the discomfort we feel in solitude is a direct reflection of the disconnection we maintain with our deepest essence. Consider for a moment, when was the last time you allowed yourself to be truly alone without distractions, just in the company of your own thoughts and feelings? For many, this prospect may seem daunting. We live in an era of constant connectivity, where silence and introspection are often seen as states to be avoided at all costs. However, it is precisely in this space of apparent emptiness that we find the seeds of our personal and spiritual growth. Psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott introduced the concept of being alone, arguing that this is an essential skill for healthy emotional development. According to Winnicott, it is in solitude that we learn to self-regulate emotionally, develop our creativity, and strengthen our sense of self. The journey to embracing loneliness as a tool for self-discovery is neither linear nor easy. Many of us have been conditioned from an early age to seek external validation and fulfillment. Contemporary society, with its emphasis on consumerism and instant gratification, only reinforces this trend. Social networks, video streaming, online gaming, all offer tempting ways to escape confrontation with our own selves. However, this constant escapism comes at a price. By avoiding loneliness, we deny ourselves the opportunity to process our experiences, integrate our emotions, and cultivate a deeper understanding of who we truly are. As a result, many of us live fragmented lives, disconnected from our true desires and purposes. Psychologist Carl Rogers observed that what is most personal is most universal. Paradoxically, it is when we allow ourselves to delve into the depths of our individuality that we connect more deeply with the shared human experience. Loneliness, in this sense, does not isolate us, but unites us with humanity on a deeper and more authentic level. But how can we begin to cultivate a more positive relationship with loneliness? The first step is to recognize that initial discomfort is normal and even expected. Years of conditioning don't disappear overnight. Start with small moments of intentional solitude in your everyday life. It can be as simple as turning off your cell phone during a meal or taking 15 minutes in the morning to sit in silence before starting your routine. As you become more comfortable with these moments of stillness, you can gradually increase the length and depth of your solitary practices. Meditation, in particular, offers a powerful path to exploring the contours of your inner landscape. Start with short 5 to 10 minute sessions, focusing simply on your breathing or a meaningful word or phrase, a mantra. Observe the thoughts and emotions that arise without judgment, allowing them to come and go like clouds in the sky. Philosopher and psychologist William James described consciousness as a continuous stream of thought. Through the practice of meditation and introspection, we begin to realize that we are not our thoughts, but rather the observer of those thoughts. This distinction is crucial as it allows us to gain a broader perspective on our internal experiences. Another powerful exercise for cultivating the art of solitude is reflective writing. Set aside time each day to write freely, without censorship or judgment. This process, sometimes called morning pages by author Julia Cameron, can reveal surprising insights into your thought patterns, hidden desires, and underlying fears. As you delve deeper into these practices, you may begin to notice subtle changes in your perception of the world and yourself. Moments of clarity and insight can come unexpectedly. You may find yourself more centered in stressful situations, more able to access your intuition, and more aligned with your true values and purpose. However, it is important to recognize that the journey to self-discovery through solitude is not always smooth or comfortable. Confronting aspects of yourself that have long been ignored or repressed can be challenging. Carl Jung referred to this process as confronting the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we deny or reject. In these moments, it is crucial to practice self-compassion. Remember that the goal is not to reach a state of perfection, but rather of authenticity and integration. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke advised, be patient with everything that is unresolved in your heart and try to love your own questions. As you become more comfortable in your own company, you may begin to notice changes in your relationships with others. Paradoxically, the ability to be truly alone often leads to deeper, more authentic connections with others. When we are no longer constantly seeking external validation or fulfillment, we become able to be more fully and genuinely present in our relationships. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke about the importance of the genuine encounter between individuals, what he called the IOU Relationship. This type of encounter is only possible when both parties are rooted in their own being, able to relate to each other from a place of authenticity and total presence. It is important to note that valuing solitude does not mean an endorsement of social isolation or seclusion. Rather, it's about finding a healthy balance between social connection and time for yourself. The goal is to cultivate such a rich and satisfying relationship with yourself that you can bring that fulfillment to your interactions with others. As you move forward on this journey of self-discovery through solitude, it may be helpful to explore the practices and teachings of different spiritual and philosophical traditions. Many of these traditions offer valuable insights into the nature of the self and the role of solitude in spiritual development. In the Zen Buddhist tradition, for example, there is the concept of no mind or beginner's mind. This is a state of consciousness where we free ourselves from preconceptions and judgments, experiencing each moment with freshness and openness. The practice of Zazen meditation, which involves simply sitting in silence, is one way to cultivate this state. In Taoism, we find the concept of Wu Wei, which can be translated as non-action or effortless action. This does not mean passivity, but rather a state of alignment with the natural flow of things. The practice of Tai Chi or Qi Gong, with their slow, meditative movements, can help cultivate the state of presence and flow. In the Christian tradition, we find the practice of wilderness, where individuals retreat to isolated places to deepen their spiritual connection. Jesus, for example, spent 40 days in the desert before beginning his public ministry. This tradition continues today in contemplative retreats and practices such as centering prayer. In existentialist philosophy, thinkers such as Soren Kierkegaard emphasize the importance of subjectivity and individual choice. Kierkegaard argued that it is only through a direct confrontation with our own existence that we can live authentically. His work, Either This or That, explores the anguish and freedom that come with an awareness of our responsibility to create meaning in our lives. These diverse traditions, although different in many ways, share a common recognition of the importance of self-knowledge and introspection. They offer us tools and perspectives to navigate our inner journey. As you explore these practices and ideas, it is important to remember that the goal is not to rigidly adhere to a specific belief system, but rather to use these tools as starting points for your own exploration. True knowledge comes from direct experience, not from blind acceptance of dogma or theories. A crucial aspect of the journey to self-knowledge is close observation of our patterns of thought and behavior. We often operate based on unconscious scripts, reacting automatically to situations without true awareness or choice. Practicing mindfulness can be a powerful tool for interrupting these automatic patterns and creating space for more conscious responses. Jon Kabat-Zinn, a pioneer in the application of mindfulness in the West, defines mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, intentionally in the present moment and without judgment. This practice can be incorporated into virtually any daily activity, from eating to walking to washing the dishes. A simple mindfulness exercise you can try is a body scan. Lie down comfortably and systematically bring your attention to different parts of your body, starting with your toes and gradually moving to the top of your head. Notice the sensations in each area without trying to change or judge them. This exercise not only promotes relaxation, but also develops a deeper awareness of the mind-body connection. Another important aspect of the journey of self-discovery is confronting our fears and self-imposed limitations. Often, what stops us from living fully are not external obstacles, but our own limiting beliefs and internal fears. Psychologist Abraham Maslow, in his work on self-actualization, noted that many people are afraid not of failure, but of their own potential. A powerful exercise for exploring and challenging these limitations is what we might call dialogue with fear. Take a sheet of paper and write a letter from your fear to yourself. Let fear express all your worries and warnings. Then respond to that letter, speaking to your fear with compassion and understanding, but also firmly and clearly about your intentions and values. This exercise can help you create a more conscious relationship with your fears, recognizing them without being controlled by them. As author Neil Donald Walsch said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. As you progress on your journey of self-discovery, it may be helpful to keep an insight journal. This is not a conventional journal where you simply record the day's events, but a dedicated space for documenting moments of clarity, deep questions that arise, and patterns that you begin to notice in your life. Revisiting this journal regularly can reveal recurring themes and help chart your growth over time. You may notice, for example, that certain insights tend to emerge at specific times, such as right after meditation or during walks in nature. Speaking of nature, we cannot underestimate the power of the natural world as a catalyst for self-knowledge and introspection. Many spiritual traditions recognize nature as a teacher and mirror to our own inner nature. Author Richard Louv coined the term nature deficit disorder to describe the negative effects of disconnection from the natural world. He argues that regular contact with nature is essential not only for our physical health, but also for our emotional and spiritual well-being. A powerful exercise is to practice what the Japanese call forest bathing, Shinrin-yoku. This involves spending time in a forest environment, using all your senses to connect with your surroundings. Observe the different shades of green. Listen to the birds singing and the rustling of the leaves. Feel the texture of the tree bark. Breathe deeply the aromas of the forest. This practice not only promotes relaxation and stress reduction, but it can also evoke a deep feeling of connection with something greater than ourselves. As John Muir, the American naturalist and preservationist, said, "In wilderness lies the preservation of the world." As you delve deeper into your exploration of solitude and self-discovery, you may begin to experience what psychologist Abraham Maslow called peak experiences. These are moments of profound joy, clarity, and unity, where the barriers between the self and the world seem to dissolve. Although these experiences are often brief, they can have a profound and lasting impact on our perception of ourselves and the world. It's important to remember that while these experiences can be deeply meaningful, they are not the end goal of the journey. As Zen master Suzuki Roshi wisely advised, the goal of practice is always the practice itself. A crucial aspect of the journey of self-discovery is the development of self-compassion. Often, as we become more aware of our standards and limitations, we can fall into the trap of excessive self-criticism. Psychologist Kristin Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion research, argues that treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding as you would a good friend is essential for psychological well-being and personal growth. A simple self-compassion exercise is what Neff calls a self-compassion break. When you notice yourself being hard on yourself, stop for a moment, place your hand over your heart, and say to yourself, "This is a time of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment." As you cultivate a more compassionate relationship with yourself, you may notice changes in the way you relate to others. Compassion for self naturally extends to compassion for others as we recognize our shared humanity. Philosopher Martin Buber spoke about the importance of seeing the other not as an object to be manipulated or used, but as a being with its own interiority and mystery. This shift in perspective is only possible when we are rooted in our own being, able to relate from a place of plenitude, not lack. A powerful exercise for cultivating this perspective is the practice of loving-kindness meditation, or metta in the Buddhist tradition. This practice involves generating feelings of goodwill and compassion, first toward oneself, then toward loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and finally toward all beings. Start by sitting comfortably and focusing on your breathing. Then, mentally repeat phrases like, "May I be safe and protected from internal and external harm. May I be happy and content. May I be healthy and strong. May I live with ease." After a few minutes, expand this desire to include a loved one, then an acquaintance, a stranger, and finally all beings. This practice may seem artificial at first, but over time it can profoundly transform our relationships with ourselves and others. As we move forward on our journey of self-discovery, it is important to recognize that this is not a linear process. There will be moments of clarity and insight, but also periods of confusion and doubt. Psychologist Carl Rogers observed that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change. This acceptance does not mean resignation or complacency, but rather a willingness to be present with our experience, whatever it may be, without resistance. It is from this place of acceptance that true transformation can occur. A powerful exercise for cultivating this acceptance is the practice of inner witnessing. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Imagine sitting in an empty theater, watching the stage of your mind. Allow thoughts, emotions, and sensations to arise and pass without trying to change or judge them. Simply watch, like a curious spectator. This practice can help us develop what psychologist Daniel Goleman calls emotional self-awareness, the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions. This skill is fundamental not only for our personal well-being, but also for our interpersonal relationships and our effectiveness in the world. As we develop a deeper understanding of ourselves, we can begin to align our external actions with our internal values and purpose. This alignment is what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls flow, a state of total engagement and deep satisfaction with what we are doing. To cultivate more moments of flow in your life, reflect on the activities that make you lose track of time, that challenge you in an enjoyable way, and that give you a sense of purpose. Look for ways to incorporate more of these activities into your daily life. Remember, however, that the goal is not to constantly be in a state of flow or perpetual happiness. As psychologist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl reminds us in his book, In Search of Meaning, what gives life meaning is not the pursuit of happiness itself, but the pursuit of a purpose that transcends ourselves. Frankl argues that even in the most difficult circumstances, we always have the freedom to choose our attitude towards a situation. This inner freedom is perhaps the most fundamental aspect of being human, and cultivating it is one of the highest objectives of the journey of self-knowledge. An exercise to explore your sense of purpose is what we might call funeral visualization. Imagine yourself at the end of a long and fulfilling life. What kind of legacy would you like to leave? What words would you like to be said about you? What difference would you like to have made in the world? Reflecting on these questions can help us clarify our values and priorities, guiding our choices in the present. As we approach the end of this exploration, it is important to remember that the journey of self-discovery is ongoing. There is no end point where we can say, "Now I know myself completely." As the Greek philosopher Heraclitus observed, "No man steps into the same river twice, for it is not the same river and he is not the same man." However, each step we take on this journey brings us closer to a more authentic and meaningful life. Every moment of introspection, every insight, every act of courage in the face of our fears and limitations takes us closer to our true self. The power of solitude and the perception of the self is not in isolating us from the world, but in connecting us more deeply with our inner essence and, by extension, with all of humanity and the universe of which we are part. As the poet Rainer Maria Rilke wrote, "The only journey is the journey within." As you embark on this journey, remember to be kind to yourself. Celebrate your insights and progress, no matter how small they may seem. Be patient with your challenges and setbacks, knowing that they are also part of the process. And above all, stay open and curious, for it is in this openness that the potential for continued growth and transformation lies. May you find the courage to enter the classroom of solitude, the wisdom to learn your lessons, and the compassion to apply that knowledge for the benefit of all beings. For, as the Sufi mystic Rumi reminds us, what you seek is seeking you. May your journey of self-discovery be rich, deep, and transformative. May you find in the stillness of solitude the fullness of your true being, and